Odon stood on the observation deck, his eyes locked on the alien landscape beyond the reinforced windows of the ironclad. A swirling mass of plasma storms and energy ripples danced through the atmosphere of Elysium Prime, a planet that defied classification. It was a dangerous frontier, but for the Human Phi Alliance, it was a treasure trove of scientific and magical discoveries. Odon, a master of arcane arts, had come to realize that this world held secrets that could change the balance of both science and magic forever. Behind him, Captain Kara Ryland, commander of the human expedition, crossed her arms. You look deep in thought, Odon, still marveling at the plasma storms, or are you trying to figure out how to turn them into fireballs? The elf chuckled, turning to face her. Plasma and science aren't the same as fireballs and magic, Captain. You humans seem to think everything is connected by a single thread of logic. Kara grinned, but her eyes were sharp with the curiosity that had made her famous in both scientific and military circles. Well, you're not wrong. We've been chasing that idea since the first human set foot on an alien planet. But I've seen what you can do. Odon, magic bends reality in ways science can't, at least. Not yet. Maybe it's time we stop drawing such thick lines between the two. Odon raised an eyebrow. You propose combining our disciplines? Not propose, Kara corrected. Prove. Before Odon could respond, a warning chime echoed through the ship. The artificial voice of the ironclad's AI cut through the air. Calm but firm. Incoming anomaly detected. All personnel to battle stations. Kara's demeanor shifted instantly. She tapped her wrist communicator. Command. Status report. A voice crackled through. Captain, it's the anomaly we picked up on the edge of the system. It's accelerating, heading straight for us. Kara looked at Odon. We'll have to continue this conversation later. Right now, we need every advantage we can get. Odon nodded, his mind already working. Then perhaps it's time I show you how magic can do more than summon fireballs. The ironclad's bridge was a flurry of activity as the anomaly drew closer. It was like nothing they'd seen before, a swirling mass of raw energy, neither wholly natural nor fully artificial. Human sensors couldn't quite define it, but Odon felt something familiar beneath the chaos, something ancient. It's a rift, Odon said quietly, standing at the center of the bridge, his hands glowing faintly with magic as he probed the anomaly from afar. Kara glanced at him. A rift? Between what? Dimensions, planes of existence, Odon explained. It's unstable, and it's growing. Can you contain it? Odon took a deep breath, the glow in his hands intensifying. Contain? No, but I can manipulate it. Guide it? Kara gave a sharp nod. Then do it. Odon stepped forward, raising his arms as he began to chant in an ancient, lilting tongue. Magic surged through him, tendrils of energy extending toward the rift. At the same time, the ship's scientific officers worked feverishly to analyze the readings, offering data on the anomaly's structure and behavior. The bridge was a meeting point of two worlds, magic and science, both striving to understand the unknown. Captain, the anomaly's energy patterns are similar to plasma, but it's acting like something far more volatile, said one of the officers. We might be able to use the ship's plasma arrays to stabilize it, at least temporarily. Kara's eyes flicked between the officers and Odon. Can we sync our systems with Odon's magic, make them work together? The officers hesitated. In theory, yes, but it would be incredibly dangerous. We'd be merging two forces we don't fully understand. Kara clenched her jaw. Do it. The officers nodded and quickly began coordinating with the engineering team to reroute power to the ship's plasma arrays. Odon's spell grew stronger, his magic weaving through the fabric of reality itself, but he could feel the strain. This was no ordinary spellcasting, was tethering himself to a force that neither he nor anyone else could fully comprehend. Plasma arrays charged, the officers reported. Fire on my mark, Kara ordered. Odon, are you ready? The elf nodded, sweat beading on his brow. I can guide it, but you'll need to strike precisely when I say. Kara watched the anomaly on the screen, waiting for Odon's cue. The rift churned, energy crackling and flaring as it drew closer to the ship. Finally, Odon raised a glowing hand. Now, Kara gave the command, and the ironclad's plasma arrays fired. Streams of controlled energy lanced out from the ship, converging on the rift. At the same time, Odon's magic flared, guiding the plasma along invisible lines of power. The rift buckled, twisting under the combined force of science and magic, but it held, its expansion slowing. Energy levels stabilizing, the officer said, his voice tinged with disbelief. It's working. Kara let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Good job, everyone. But Odon wasn't finished. His eyes narrowed as he focused on the heart of the rift. There was something within it, something alive. His magic pierced deeper, and he felt it, a presence, powerful and malevolent. It's not just a rift, he said, his voice tight with concentration. Something is trying to come through. Kara's expression hardened. What is it? Odon's eyes glowed brighter as he continued his spell. I don't know yet, but it's old, and very, very dangerous. The ironclad groaned under the strain as the plasma rays continued to pour energy into the rift, holding it at bay. Odon stood at the heart of the storm on the bridge, his magic intertwining with the ship's systems in a way that had never been attempted before. It was working for now, but whatever was on the other side of that rift was pushing back, growing stronger by the second. Captain, energy levels are dropping, one of the officers warned. We can't maintain this for long. Kara Rillin glanced at Odon. The elf's face was pale, his normally calm features tight with strain. His hands still glowed with arcane light, but even she could tell he was reaching his limit. They had to find a way to stop this thing, and fast. Odon, she called, stepping closer to him. How much longer can you hold this? He shook his head, his voice strained. Not long. Whatever is inside the rift, it's growing stronger. I'm barely keeping it contained. Kara's mind raced. She had never been one to believe in fate, or destiny, or any of the mystical nonsense that Odon's people were so fond of, but she was a realist, and she knew that they were facing something that neither science nor magic alone could defeat. They needed a new plan. Can you close the rift? She asked. Odon's eyes flickered with uncertainty. I can try, but it would take immense energy, more than I can generate alone. Kara turned to her crew. Suggestions? Captain, said one of the engineers, if we divert all power from non-essential systems, we might be able to boost the plasma rays enough to give Odon what he needs, but we'll be defenseless. No shields, no weapons, nothing. Kara grimaced. It was a risk, but they didn't have many options left. Do it. We'll have to trust in Odon. As the crew scrambled to reroute power, the ironclad's lights dimmed, and the hum of the engines fell to a whisper. The ship's defenses powered down, leaving them vulnerable, but giving Odon the extra surge of energy he needed. The elf's magic flared, his hands glowing brighter as he focused every ounce of his strength on the rift. But even as he worked to seal it, the presence inside pushed harder. A low, rumbling voice echoed through the bridge, shaking the walls and sending a chill through everyone present. You think you can stop me? You think your pitiful magic and science are enough to cage me? I have waited eons for this moment. I will be free. The voice was deep, ancient, and filled with malice. Odon's eyes widened. This was no mere creature, they were facing something far worse. He felt its essence reaching through the rift, dark tendrils probing the ship, seeking a foothold in their reality. Kara drew her sidearm instinctively, though she knew it would be useless. What the hell is that? It's not just an entity, Odon gasped. It's a primordial, an ancient being from the time before time. Can you stop it? Kara demanded. I don't know, Odon admitted, his voice trembling, but I can try. With a roar of effort, Odon threw his hands out, and a wave of arcane energy surged into the rift. The ship's plasma rays fired in tandem, pouring raw power into the unstable portal. For a moment, it seemed like they were succeeding. The rift flickered, its edges beginning to collapse. But then, the rift exploded outward. The force knocked Odon to the ground and sent the crew reeling. Kara gripped the command console to steady herself as alarms blared throughout the ship. On the main display, the rift had doubled in size, and something was emerging from within, a massive, shadowy form, shifting and writhing as it pulled itself through the tear in reality. Kara's heart pounded. All hands, prepare for combat. The shadowy figure stepped through the rift, its form towering over the ironclad. It had no clear shape, only a mass of darkness with glowing red eyes that burned with the light of ancient stars. It radiated power, both magical and physical, a force beyond comprehension. The voice echoed again, louder this time, shaking the ship to its core. I am Niharu, the Devourer. Your world will fall, just as countless others have before it. Kara's fingers tightened around her sidearm, even though she knew it was useless. Odon, tell me you've got something up your sleeve. The elf staggered to his feet, his hands shaking from the exertion. I don't know if I can hold it back. This thing is beyond anything I've ever encountered. Kara cursed under her breath. We need a way to weaken it. How do we fight something like this? Science and magic, Odon whispered, his eyes wide as a plan began to form in his mind. Maybe we don't fight it separately. Maybe we combine them. Kara raised an eyebrow. What do you mean? Odon's mind raced. The plasma from your ship, it's raw, uncontrolled energy, much like magic in its purest form. If we can channel it directly into my spells, I might be able to amplify the power, but it's risky. If we're not careful, it could destroy us all. Kara met his gaze. At this point, I'll take risky over certain death. Without hesitation, she tapped her wrist communicator. Engineering. Reroute all available plasma power directly to Odon's station. We're going all in. The crew worked quickly, diverting energy from every part of the ship. Meanwhile, Odon gathered what little strength he had left, preparing to channel the ship's plasma into his magic. This was uncharted territory, combining human technology with ancient magic on this scale had never been attempted before. But they had no choice. The shadowy form of Niharu loomed closer, its red eyes glowing with malevolent glee. It raised an arm, a tendril of dark energy reaching out toward the ship, intending to crush it in an instant. Odon closed his eyes and focused. The plasma energy surged into him, blending with his arcane power. It was like trying to control a raging storm, but he held firm, directing the combined force toward Niharu. "Ma!" Odon shouted. The ship's plasma race fired again, this time guided by Odon's magic. The blast of energy was immense, a beam of pure power that struck Niharu directly in the chest. The primordial let out a deafening roar, its form flickering as the combined might of science and magic tore through it. For a moment, it seemed like they might actually win. But Niharu wasn't done yet. The ironclad drifted in the void, its engines silent, its systems barely operational. The bridge was eerily quiet, save for the faint hum of the ship's life support, an occasional crackle of damaged consoles. Captain Kara Raylan stood at the observation window, her eyes fixed on the space where the rift had once been, now sealed and calm. The stars beyond looked indifferent to the chaos that had just unfolded. Behind her, the crew worked in silence, a subdued energy settling over them. Odon lay slumped against a wall, still recovering from the titanic effort it had taken to defeat Niharu. His pale skin was clammy, his once vibrant aura dimmed to a faint glow. Even in his weakened state, there was a sense of accomplishment radiating from him. Kara turned to face the elf. "You did it, Odon. We all did." Odon forced a smile. "Though it was weak, we survived. That's a victory, but not without cost." The ship's chief engineer, Lieutenant Marcus Tanaka, entered the bridge, wiping grease from his hands. "Captain, we've managed to stabilize the critical systems, but we're going to be limping for a while. We've lost about 60% of our power, and the plasma rays are fried. We'll need to dock for repairs before we can even think about going anywhere." Kara sighed, rubbing the back of her neck. "How long until we can reach the nearest friendly outpost?" "At least 3 days," Marcus replied. "We're down to half speed, but the engines are holding. We'll make it, barely." Kara gave him a nod. "Good work, Lieutenant. Get the rest of the crew on repairs as soon as possible." As Marcus left the bridge, Kara made her way over to Odon, kneeling beside him. "We'll get you to the medbay soon, but I need to know one thing first." Odon looked up at her, his gaze still hazy. "What is it?" "That thing," Kara began, choosing her words carefully. "Niharu, you said it was a primordial, something ancient and powerful. If there are more like it out there, how do we prepare for the next one?" Odon closed his eyes, gathering his thoughts. "The primordials are beings from a time before both science and magic as we know them existed. They were born from the chaos of the universe creation, elemental forces given consciousness. Over time, they were sealed away, trapped between dimensions, or imprisoned within the fabric of reality. Niharu was one of them, but there are others." "How many others?" Kara asked, her tone grim. Odon opened his eyes, staring into the distance. "I don't know. down scenes, hundreds. It's impossible to say. Some are as malevolent as Niharu, others are indifferent, forces of nature that simply exist, but they're all dangerous. And if the rifts are opening, that means something is disturbing the balance. Something, or someone, Kara asked, her voice dropping. Odon's eyes darkened. I can't say for sure, but it's possible. Powerful magic or technology could tear open these rifts, releasing the primordials, if someone has found a way to control them. Kara's jaw clenched. Then we're dealing with a threat far bigger than we realized. She stood and turned to her crew. Get me everything we have on primordials, ancient magic, rift, anything that could help us understand what's happening. We need answers, and we need them fast. One of the officers spoke up. Captain, we've detected something, faint signals coming from the rift's location. Kara frowned. I thought the rift was closed. It is, the officers confirmed, but these signals are strange. They don't match any known communication frequencies. It's like an echo, maybe, something left behind. Kara's eyes narrowed. Put it on the screen. The main display flickered to life, showing the empty space where the rift had been. At first, nothing seemed out of place, but then, faint, flickering lines of energy appeared, tracing the outline of something vast and hidden, just beyond their perception. What is that? Kara whispered, her heart pounding. Odon struggled to his feet, his eyes widening as he looked at the display. It's not over. Suddenly, the ship's alarms blared again, and the image on the screen twisted, distorting into a mess of static and dark shapes. Something was interfering with the ship's sensors, and Kara could feel the tension rising in the air. The officers at the sensor station looked up, panic in his voice. Captain, I'm picking up massive energy signatures, thousands of them, closing in fast. Kara's mind raced, shields up, all hands to battle stations. But as the crew scrambled to prepare, Odon's voice cut through the chaos, quiet but filled with dread. No, shields won't help. Kara turned to him, her blood running cold. What do you mean? Odon's eyes were locked on the screen, his face pale as he whispered the words that sent a chill through everyone on the bridge. They're already here. The space around the ironclad rippled, as if reality itself were bending. Dark shapes began to emerge from the void, each one radiating a power similar to Niharu's but distinct in its own way. Some were massive, towering like mountains of darkness. Others were smaller, faster, their forms shifting and flickering like living shadows. These were the primordials, more of them, drawn by the disturbance in the rift. Kara's heart raced. They were outnumbered, outmatched, and their ship was barely functional, but she refused to go down without a fight. Odon, she said, her voice steady, is there anything at all can do? The elf was silent for a moment, his gaze distant as if listening to something far away. Then, slowly, he nodded. There is one chance, he said, his voice low, but it's dangerous, far more dangerous than anything we've attempted before. Kara didn't hesitate. What is it? Odon met her gaze, his eyes glowing faintly with renewed determination. We have to perform a ritual binding spell that can lock these primordials away again, but it will require more power than we have. We'll need to tap directly into the ship's core, fusing its energy with my magic. Kara's eyes widened. You want to use the reactor? If something goes wrong, we could blow ourselves up. It's the only way, Odon said, his voice firm. If we don't, they'll destroy you and everything else in their path. Kara clenched her fists. They were out of time, out of options. Do it,